The Link Show is just about to start. We have a brand new website, so head to thelinkcrew.com where you can see our most recent videos, play this week's Kahoot, and send in your shoutouts. Let's get started.
Today on The Link Show, we are continuing our series on Easter.
We're going to be looking at Palm Sunday.
And we have another game for you.
All that and more.
Are you ready?
Let's get linked.
Welcome back to The Link Show. It is our last week of this term at school before holidays.
Bring on the holidays.
Bring on the holidays. I'm so excited for the holidays.
What are you going to do?
I'm just going to hang out with friends, eat a lot of food, maybe go to the beach because it's so hot.
It's absolutely.
It's so hot. What are you going to do?
Literally the same. Friends, beach, food, maybe read some books. But guys, what are you getting up to in your Easter holidays? Are you going to go away, go camping, go see friends? Let us know by sending out a shout out to Link Crew and you, and Buckle will read it out in the middle of the week.
But right now, why don't we go check out Buckle's Preach Part 1.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about this strange day called Palm Sunday. Now, for some of you watching at school, it's probably not Palm Sunday yet, because normally you don't go to school on a Sunday. But for some of you watching at church, maybe you are watching this on Palm Sunday. But we'll get to what it's all about in just a minute. But I want to talk a little bit about celebrating things that are important to you. So one of the things that I love to go and do with my son is to go and watch sports. So we went the other day to a Brisbane Bullets basketball game. Before that, we've been to heaps of AFL games and rugby league games. We went to what they call the Magic Round, where there's just back-to-back footy games for a whole weekend. And one of the things we love to go and do is go and celebrate our team. The team that we represent. We'd wear the colors, we'd go buy the hats and the beanies and the scarves and the hoodies and the jerseys. We put on all the colors of our team. Now, obviously, we're not the ones running out onto the field to play. We're just sitting in the grandstand. We're not the ones who are actually making the win happen. The team is, but we are still there celebrating our team because we feel like they're winning it on our behalf. We are winning the game. And so we go and we don't just sit back with our arms crossed and watch. We get involved with our voices and with our bodies. We would yell and cheer and celebrate when we score and tell them to go back and defend when the other team has the ball. When they have a win, we feel like we've had a win. When they lose, we feel like we had a loss. But we love it when our team wins. And so we go and we celebrate. You see, celebrating your team or celebrating something that's important to you helps you realize that it's not just about that thing or that person. It's actually about all of us together. I wonder about you. Have you ever been to a sporting game or a dance or cheerleading competition or something where someone won and that was the person or the team that you wanted to win? How did that make you feel that you got to be a part of that victory, a part of that win for you as well? Even though you weren't the one out on the field or on the court or on the stage doing it, you still got to be a part of the win. Or maybe you were in a team, you were in a football team or a dance competition and your team won. You came first place. How did that make you feel? The celebration, the victory when you felt like you were a winner. You see, through the Bible, time and time again, it talks about the fact that we are more than winners. We're more than conquerors. And yet we're not the ones who win the victory. So how is that possible? If the Bible says that we're winners, but we're not the ones that do the winning, how can we be winners? Well, that's actually what we're learning about through this Easter series, that Jesus actually won the victory on our behalf. And so just like me celebrating my football team winning, we get to celebrate when Jesus, who is our Savior, wins. And so a little later on, we're going to take a look at a story in the Bible called Palm Sunday. We're going to explain why we call it Palm Sunday, because it wasn't actually called Palm Sunday in the Bible. That's something we've used to talk about this particular moment in the Bible. And so I'm super excited to talk about that story and also learn that we can celebrate the victory that Jesus gave. But we'll talk about that in just a minute.
See, before we even talk about what we're holding here,
Yes.
I feel like we gotta just briefly mention that I feel very far away from the table.
You're so far away.
We're usually sitting there.
I'm much more comfortable here. I can't lie to you.
Look, it is more comfortable here, but I'm like, look, we got a bowl of Easter eggs. I don't know if you can see. We got a bowl of Easter eggs. And we got 2 empty bowls on the other end of the table there. I have a feeling it's a throwing game.
And do you know what? I feel like this is going to work in your favor because I am currently winning. This may get you back to tie with me.
You know what, producer, what are we doing?
Listen.
Explain the game to us, please.
It's exactly what you've said. You have to throw the eggs into your corresponding bowl, and whoever has the most at the end of a minute and a half wins. Your back has to be against the back of the chair, so you can't lean forward. You can throw as many eggs as you want at a time. It might be a bit risky though, because the bowls are very close together. So, if you want to take that risk, go for it. All right, we ready?
Steph Curry, let's go!
Go.
No way, dude.
Oh, they keep... See. Oh, I got one in his! Oh!
Bro, it keeps popping out.
We're going to need a refill on Easter eggs soon.
Okay. Are we... Oh my god!
Oh, come on.
Nah, ain't no way.
Yeah.
Whoa. Before we reveal this week's winner, let's take a look at our animated Bible story.
Today is Palm Sunday, a day as Christians we celebrate a week before Easter. But why do we call it Palm Sunday? Well, for that, we're going to have to go back about 2,000 years to when Jesus was still here on earth. As we know, Jesus traveled all around Israel, doing miracles and telling people about how much God loved them. Now, it was getting close to the festival called Passover, which the Israelites had been celebrating ever since God freed them from being slaves in Egypt. And so Jesus and his disciples started making their way to Jerusalem, and as they got close, Jesus sent 2 of his disciples ahead to a village and said, "Go to the village and you'll find a donkey there tied with her colt. Bring them to me. And if anyone asks what you're doing, say that the Lord needs them, and they will send you on your way." Sure enough, it happened as Jesus said. So Jesus hopped on the young donkey, which had never been ridden, and rode it into Jerusalem. When the people heard that Jesus was coming, they celebrated. They cut down palm branches from trees. And for those that couldn't find palm branches, they used their jackets. They waved them in the air. They praised and yelled, "Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest heaven." They waved their branches. They laid them on the floor in front of Jesus as he entered the city. People from all over Jerusalem came to see what was going on. They were asking, "Who is this?" And the crowds replied, "This is Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth in Galilee." Now, some of the religious leaders started getting upset by what was going on. They said to Jesus, "Jesus, tell your followers to stop singing and praising. Tell them to stop saying what they're saying." But Jesus replied to them, "I tell you the truth. If they did not sing, the very stones on the ground would cry out in their place." You see, we celebrate Palm Sunday because Jesus came not on a war horse in battle, but he came on a donkey in peace and humility. He showed that he came not to take over, but to come and make a way for us to find peace with God. I love this story so much because all of the people in Jerusalem hear that Jesus is coming. You see, all through the Bible for hundreds and hundreds of years before Jesus was born, there were prophecies about the coming of Jesus, about the things he would do, about the miracles that would happen so that people would know when it was him. And one of the prophecies was actually that he would be riding into Jerusalem on a donkey. You see, here's the thing. We learn at Easter that Jesus won the victory for us. We're going to talk about that in a few weeks. But if a king was riding into a city after a victory, after winning a battle, they would ride in on a horse, like on a big war horse with swords and shields and their army, and it would be a show of strength. And yet Jesus doesn't ride into Jerusalem on a war horse. Instead, he rides into Jerusalem on a donkey. When you rode in on a donkey, it was a sign that you were coming to bring peace. You see, one of the things at Christmas that we learn in the Bible is that Jesus came to bring us peace, to bring peace to humankind. And so the people hearing that Jesus came brought their palm branches, and if they couldn't get palm branches, they'd use their jacket, hence Palm Sunday, right? And they would celebrate Jesus because this was a triumphant entry into the city. This was a victory that they were celebrating with him, but instead of it being a victory using force, it was a victory that brought peace. And it's the same for you and me, that we can celebrate who Jesus is in our lives, because when we have Jesus in our lives, he brings us peace. The Bible actually says that he wants to bring you peace that goes beyond your understanding. In other words, I shouldn't feel at peace right now. The world seems like it's falling apart, and I don't understand why, but yet I still feel peace, because Jesus brings us the peace that passes all understanding. And so today, where we celebrate Palm Sunday, whether it's Sunday for you or not, why don't you take a moment and think about how are you celebrating Jesus in your life? Just like you would go to a football game, you would be there, you would cry out for your team, and you would celebrate. Are you going and celebrating Jesus, whether it's in Christian living at school or being at church on a Sunday, using your voice to celebrate who Jesus is in your life? Because that's what today is all about for Palm Sunday, that we should celebrate Jesus.
Thank you so much, Buckle. Absolutely love listening to him.
Are you ready for the most important part?
Let's find out who won the challenge.
Cece, you had 1 egg.
Woo!
Miguel,
That's huge.
you had 4 eggs.
That's massive. Call me
Miguel is winning.
Yay! Did I win? Woo! You know what it is.
I do
That's
know.
all that basketball training, you know?
That bowl, the eggs were just
Dude,
like whoosh.
they were subway surfing in that bowl.
They were.
That's
They had
what
a mind
were.
of their own.
They had a mind of, yeah. Some of your eggs came into my bowl and some of my eggs went into your bowl. It just happened like that.
It was a wild and intense.
Intense. But I believe we are tied again. I think,
so.
or I'm up. I don't know, but I loved how we learned about Palm Sunday today.
So good to recognize the coming of Jesus and what that meant. It meant that the Savior was coming.
And remember, you can do the quiz after the show. Go to the link website, see if you can get 100%. Remember, put in your shoutouts. We'd love to read them. That's all for today. Thank you so much for joining us here on The Link Show. I'm Miguel.
I'm Cece.
And we'll see you next time on The Link Show.
Bye.